Welcome back to Pole Barn Garage, where I got something real special for you this time. Behold, 1967 Pontiac 2+2, but it's a little more special than that. See that right there? 428 HO. That's a 376 horsepower, top of the line, biggest, baddest engine you could get from Pontiac in 1967. It's still in there. So I snagged this car off a marketplace. It popped up for $3 grand and I went and got it, right? Drug it home because I saw 8-lug wheels and a 428 emblem. The 8-lug wheel on this car is not like your pickup truck. This is actually the brake drum. It's aluminum. You couldn't get disc brakes, but you could get this. This is a huge drum brake. They work fantastic when they work. They're also very expensive though, so hopefully all that's in good shape. Another couple things I noticed. It's a 2+2, right? Typically, that means you have a big center console and you've got like that speaker thing in the back seat there, and bucket seats, of course. However, this car has a column shift and no console. The story I got on it was that this car was ordered for a small town sheriff in Kansas, and he ordered it how he wanted. It has nothing. There are no options. Manual steering, manual brakes, but the big motor and the big brakes. It is pretty rotten, but the numbers I found show this is at least 1 of 1,000 cars made, roughly. And options like this, probably far fewer than that, but you know, the $160 PHS report doesn't actually tell you anything other than what the car was ordered with. You can see the floors are, well, they are holding a wheel in there, so I mean, that's something. But they're pretty much gone. I have pans coming for it. I know the trunk isn't much better. I barely looked at this thing. I just kind of loaded it up and hauled it home. This fan shroud. It says 428 on there. Smells like bad gas. I mean, there is a tank in there, but I bet there ain't much left of it. Look at that. So this is on the options sheet. That's a rear window defogger. It just blows air at the back window to defog it in the wintertime. That's cool that that's still there. Yeah. And that is the 428 HO. Not only is it the 428 HO, it's all there. You can see the exhaust manifolds are the long branch factory header. We have 670 heads on it. This intake matches, and it still has a quadrajet on it, which I can only assume is correct for it. It looks like it. This car had CDI ignition from the factory. See this ballast resistor?
Yep.
Looks like Chrysler stuff, right? I had incorrectly assumed that the ballast resistor was part of the CDI ignition, when in fact they used the ballast resistor to get rid of the CDI ignition and go to points, which makes way more sense. This chrome air cleaner, see this ridge around here? That is original. This is one of the only cars produced with a open element air cleaner. This is factory, and that gives you just a few extra ponies, right? This 428 with 670 heads is 10 3/4 to 1 compression. And that head design is so aggressive, along with the cam profile in it, that they actually had to redesign this engine for 68. This engine was, you got to think about the market that was buying this car. It wasn't the kid with a hot rod. It was a business executive, or in this case a sheriff, but you know, that's kind of the exception. You know, this is a fancy car. It's a big car. If you wanted to go fast and keep up with the Joneses, this was the car for you. Not this one in particular, because it has no options, but you get what I'm saying. So the people that bought these cars actually complained about how undrivable this engine was on the street. You got to think, gas back then was 110 octane for premium, and that's what it needed to run. So in 68, they redesigned to an open chamber design in the cylinder head and dropped the compression a little bit, little tamer cam. They actually reduced the power level for 1968. Same engine otherwise. Now the good thing is, I know it will run. You know why? Because it's a Pontiac. Of course it'll run. It's going to run just fine. So we could go ahead and write that off, JD. It's done. I guess the show's over. I do know that the guy I bought it from said it ran. And I can see that it's got newer plugs in it, newer master cylinder, definitely not newer plug wires.
The brakes do work.
Huh?
too. The brakes work too.
Yeah, and we rolled it off the trailer, and at least a couple of the brakes work. So that's good. And it looks like they've cut this fuel line here to run it off a jug or something. I'm just gonna guess the fuel pump is bad. Well, why don't we look inside that gas tank and see if I need to...
let's do that.
Yeah, because you can't find one for this. I can get one for an Impala, which is probably close-ish. Yeah, I could smell that from here, man. We're probably gonna need a gas tank.
Feel the sides, it's horrible.
Oh, dude, there's gas in it too. Phew. That is varnish. I actually love that smell. It reminds me of being a kid with Dad going through old cars. Yep. That ain't gonna work at all. Throw a fuel pump and get a boat tank. That's unfortunately gonna be our route here.
For now.
Yeah, let me get a gas tank on order because it may take a minute for it to actually arrive. All I want to do is just kind of hear it run, you know? We can really dial it in later, but we got to hear it run and then figure out what we actually need. I ordered a gas tank. It was very expensive. Probably won't work. What is this? Optional.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see both of those are black for convenience.
Oh yeah. No fire.
Okay. No fire yet. Yet. Remember that.
Yeah.
Huh? Professional. I'm not willing to do anything even remotely permanently with this. This is what I'm not gonna butcher. Well, I am definitely gonna butcher, but like, not that bad.
Yeah.
You know.
You're gonna do the floors and you're gonna be like, oh, it's taking too long. I don't care anymore, and then butcher it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what you do on all of them.
Reveal the quadra-junk. Oh, that thing looks clean. That's a vacuum leak. Look at this. So this is factory Pontiac stuff right here.
Yeah.
That is supposed to go here.
Oh.
But the carb stud on the back of a lot of Pontiac intakes is a vacuum port.
Pretty black. It felt okay though.
Yeah, good enough to fire it up on.
Definitely be doing an oil change later though.
Oh yeah. What about
I bet nothing.
pretty dry?
Yeah.
We should probably fill that up.
Okay.
Look, I'll bet you $1 that the shroud is missing because the radiator's bad. Also, the radiator's wet on like the lower third of it. So
Leaking.
It's probably bad. But that said, we should put some water in it just so the water pump doesn't fire up dry. I'll look and see if it just pours right out. Oh, yeah, it's starting to get wetter down there. Maybe we should have seen if it cranks first. Oh God, I'm gonna fall through. You got fuel in the car? Say no spark. Let's start with the points. They're new. That's probably the problem. They're not frozen. They're moving.
Inside of the cap looks okay.
Yeah, it looks fine. It's old, but let's arc sparks to the gas filled thing.
It's sparking. Barely though. It is.
It is working. Nah, it's good. That's a pretty good blue spark. Try again.
Sure.
I'm gonna have JD check for spark out of the plug.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, I know.
Definitely got spark.
Oh, dude, the spotlight's on. Something changed. Because now we have, yeah, now we have power.
It wasn't doing it until it just now sparked.
And it tried to fire.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens. Well, it runs.
Yeah, it does run.
Not very good.
There we go.
need to make a run to go get some transmission fluid. There is some in it. It doesn't even look that bad. Let me dump what I got in here, hopefully, and I just want to see if it goes into gear. That'd be cool. You know what I noticed, though? See how the transmission lines have been spliced together with rubber?
Yep.
Very, very typical of old school, and by old school I mean half-ass transmission rebuild shops. They just cut them off instead of dealing with the fittings. So hopefully the transmission's been gone through, because the car does have some miles on it. It's what does it show?
38,000.
Well, that's a 5-digit odometer.
Yeah. 138,000.
And honestly, as much as we like to say they don't build them like they used to, past 100,000 miles back in the day, the car was done, you know. Now, this car's different because it's a Pontiac. It will live forever. But the transmissions, you know, they do go. All right, I'll try. I don't have nothing to sit in. But look, at least I can look for bad guys. I forgot to mention something. You might have noticed that both tires spun there. This car has a safety track differential, which is Pontiac speak for Positrack, although it's a different internal setup. And every one of these cars comes with a 342 gear ratio. So not only you got the big motor, the big brakes, you got a pretty damn good gear ratio. There was a magazine that tested all 3 new 67 Pontiacs. They put headers on them and slicks. Then they had Royal Bobcat recurve the distributors and tune the carburetors. But they ran the 2+2 with a 428, a 4-speed, against 67 GTO and a 67 Firebird. This car, with the HO 428, ran like a 13.5 in 1967. That was on a slick and had headers. Even if we bench race a little bit and say that that might have been padded, it's a 14-second car that's this big. You could haul your whole family around in it and kick anybody's ass who comes up next to you, or in this car's case, chase them down and put them in the clink. See this? See this? You'd think, you know, a fresh air vent or something, right? Or no, it just floors the car for you.
Well, yeah, it's a...
And you twist it, and then do you think it is cruise control?
Yeah, but Grandpa was telling me about it. That's back in the day. They used to have those. You pull the...
It looks like a PTO lever, almost, like for a tow truck, you know?
You pull it like halfway, right?
Yeah, but it'll just keep accelerating. It's flooded now, that's for sure.
I don't know how. I don't know what that's for. Wait, can you do it?
You could do it part way.
Yeah, that's...
So it just holds the throttle at half throttle?
Yeah, so you like cruise down 80 miles an hour and then you...
Then it turns into 90 and then you just sit there and it turns into 100 and...
No. It only goes that fast. Like that locks it, so you're like going...
That is the most dangerous thing.
Yeah, that's, Grandpa was telling me about it. That's
so I've set this. Oh God, I gotta stop! Oh...
No, oh God, I gotta stop.
Let's add extra steps into the process to stop. I was gonna see if this old school Stewart Warner tack works. Oh. Well, no, there's wires. Kinda. It's moving. Blower motor works.
Oh yeah.
See, this is cool.
Oh, that's cool.
You don't set the speed. It just goes rear, which I don't think is kicking on. The de-ice. And none of it seems to work, but it is cool. Wipers? No.
No. Ready?
What's this? Oh, rear defog.
Oh. Rear speaker, too.
Ooh, heavy smoker. They burned the element out of it. Oh, yeah. Yep, Sheriff Buford T. Justice was sitting around to this thing.
Is that a vent down there, too?
That's a choke.
That's a choke.
This is an air vent, and there's one on that side too. Fresh air vents, because it's a non-AC car.
Yeah. That's cool. Get
Hell,
some
seats ain't even in bad shape, really.
Yeah. They're just not bolted to the floor.
Yeah. Well, dome light's working on that side.
Oh.
Those are optional map lights. Sorry, I'm just ordering stuff. But I did want to point one thing out. The VIN tag here. Yeah, the second digit here is an X. Right there. This car was built at Fairfax, which is where I worked. And my grandpa actually worked there in the 60s. There's a pretty good chance that my grandpa had a hand in this. They were a BOP plant. They made the big BOP cars there. And really good chance that my grandpa had something to do with this, which is just another thing I think is pretty cool. Well, I got the right fuel pump for it, and if we use this, at least we can keep our metal line and stuff, even though it's broken. I want it to be the right-ish stuff, you know. We could keep the return line and everything. So, there's our new fuel pump. Let's get that popped on, and maybe we go ahead and get this radiator out and pop a new radiator in too. What do you think about painting and detailing?
Sure.
Maybe we just kind of get everything off and clean it up real good. It's kind of interesting. The fuel pump bolts are 12 point. I don't know if that's factory or what. JD's getting the radiator ripped out. And we're actually going to keep that radiator, bud.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. I'll get that fixed because it's the correct radiator for the car.
Oh, okay.
But we'll put an aluminum one in for now.
Yeah.
How does the core support look? Oh, rock solid.
Yeah.
Nice. Dude! Oh, it's trash now. Scrap it. That is an original or a very early replacement fuel pump. It says AC on the side. Not AC Delco. AC. Fortunately, we need to keep that flex hose because I can't find an upper hose for the thing. They don't list it. So it has a manual choke on it, but you can see that well right here.
Yeah.
So there's a thing that bolts here, and it just has a little spring that sits in that well. And that is what drives the choke up and down. But it kind of looks like they've removed some of the linkage. I'm not sure. You know what sucks is I don't think I have a single Pontiac with a quadrajet to go off of to look. I am going to pull the water neck off of here and put a thermostat in it. Get eyes on the inside of that to see what it looks like. This was a good call. Oh, that's a great sign.
Means the cooling system's really good and clean.
Oh yeah, for sure. If I had to guess, I'd say that this thing is full of stop leak. Probably trying to fix that radiator. Hopefully it's not a huge problem. We'll see. Yeah, clean out that glass washer fluid bottle. Should clean that.
Yeah, I probably should clean it.
You put that there, that way you can top off your washer fluid over here. And we'll begin the rebuilding process with the water neck. Everything's got to start somewhere. You might notice my sweet Pole Barn Garage Hawaiian shirt now available at polebarnmerch.com. Get yours when we get to cleaning and ruining the shirt, so you better get one to keep good. You know, I think I am going to remove the suicide knob from the dash.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we really want that.
It works fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you just lock it and then it drives. It's just like every other cruise control.
Except for you can't shut it off by hitting the brake. Wire wheels, some of this stuff. Again, we're not going crazy with it. I want a driver. Yeah, it's a rare car, but it's also mine. So, yeah, we're just going to do whatever I want. Oh, yeah, they definitely needed gaskets. Yeah, these are weird that these are not chrome valve covers. See, we've got guide plates, we've got rocker studs, and also, it's pretty damn clean in there. It's paint. Looks like somebody spray painted it with the valve cover off. While JD cleans up the valve covers, I'll go ahead and refurbish the entire engine with Super Clean. Well, as you can see, I've sprayed dangerous amounts of Super Clean under here, and so I will rinse it off with dangerous amounts of carb cleaner or brake cleaner, or pretty much whatever I have on the shelf, you know. Ah, yes. Yep, this is a ticking time bomb. Very, very soon. Literally, just let the stuff soak on there for a little bit, and then boom. She's pretty much ready to paint. Now we're going to button the valve covers back onto this thing, and then we're going to paint it all as one unit, just like the factory would have. And also, I'm lazy. We're going to paint it the Pontiac light blue metallic, a much better color than the plain teal color they went to after this.
Brand new.
New valves, new seats, new everything. And we got to let our first coat of rebuilding spray cure on the engine, so let's go ahead and start our body refurbishing spray. Oh, it looks good. Well, see, the engine has to feel good to run good, you know what I mean? I mean, it's not going to be very happy if it's looking like crap and all its friend, Mr. Left Inner and Right Inner Apron are ugly. You know, he's just not going to be very happy. So for it to run properly, everything has to be spray painted accordingly. It's just science. We just have to wipe some of the rebuildingness off of the carburetor.
Well, we don't want to rebuild that yet.
No, see, we rebuilt it with the wrong rebuilding spray, so it would act incorrectly. So we have to rebuild it with the correct rebuilding spray when the time comes. Have you been trained in the use of rebuilding spray?
I have.
Ah, yeah, there we go. Got the new fuel pump on. It started with, let's put a fuel pump on it, and turned into this, as usual. We'll do plugs, wires, cap rotor, all that good stuff after everything dries here. And just realized the fittings on the transmission cooler lines are huge. And the radiator I bought is set up for 5/16 line, which is standard. This must have some kind of heavy-duty transmission cooler or something. Yeah, slide these back enough, and then we could just put an external cooler on it. And here's our Champion radiator, which, you know, it's not what I want, but it's what I can do for right now until I get the original fixed. Allegedly this fits. It doesn't. I think this is because it's a non-AC car. It actually has a smaller radiator. But of course, the Chinese don't understand that, so their fitment is a little off. I'm gonna try not to, like, destroy anything. Maybe I could just bend this out of the way. Well, it's not really sitting on the saddles right. And that hose down there, that ain't gonna work. It's right against the frame. With enough bending and persuasion, it kind of fits. At least I didn't have to cut anything. Lower hose is on crooked, but well, we'll see. Zip tying the transmission cooler to the front of it. We got our pigtails from the cooler out here. That way we can access them. And we go ahead and bolt the radiator in place. I'm gonna try painting it black too, because the aluminum just looks kind of chump. Jamming some random rubbers I had around in here to try to hold it on. As long as it smushes the radiator, should be alright. This is header paint. Looks like it sticks, for now anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it'll do when it's got heat on it, but it's 2,000 degree.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it should work. You'll note that I hooked up the vacuum lines the way they were originally, which is 2 vacuum ports feeding the PCV valve, which you would think is redundant, right? Well, we got the number 2 runner and then the number 1 runner, right? I think it has too much duration to pull steadily on just 1 runner. So it uses 2 runners. That way it's constantly pulling on the PCV. Probably let them get around whatever emissions were in place in '67. That's just a guess. Also, notice how firing is spelled wrong on the intake. And every one of the letters is very clearly hand-laid into the cast. Interesting. I don't know if that's all 67s or if it's like an early thing or something. It's kind of weird. Today's video is brought to you by AG1. And drinking AG1, well, it's not going to keep you warm. But it is good for you in a lot of other ways. My favorite thing about it is the gut health, the probiotics helping with the gut. It really makes a big difference. New Year's is coming up, right? I would say for your New Year's resolution, you should try taking AG1 every day because you're going to notice a difference. It helps support your energy levels as well as something I've noticed. If you use my code, you're going to get free travel packs and a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2 with your first order. Or you can scan this QR code right here. So Jess and I both have been taking AG1 regularly for about a year now. We have both noticed that it has made a big difference in our daily lives. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring the video. Use my code, scan this code, get you some stuff, and try it. That's the best thing I can tell you to do. So let's get back to work. Well, I've learned a couple of things. One, this car is supposed to have chrome valve covers, as best as I could tell. So I ordered a set of those factory chrome valve covers. Also, I was trying to figure out where the CDI ignition went, and here it is here. It's this loom of wire that's taped up in the back here. So that was a breakerless system. It uses like a magnetic pulse to trigger the CDI box. No points. So I don't think we want to use that because somebody has put a set of points in this and obviously bypassed that. I found one factory Delco CDI box for sale on eBay for $500. That's not going to happen. So points is fine. On that same note, I'm going to throw a new cap, rotor, and a set of wires at the thing, and I think our tune-up will be pretty much done. That carburetor's not great, but I think it'll work. Somebody has already put a set of plugs in this thing, at least somewhat recently, so I'll skip that for now. Good thing about a Delco distributor of any kind, HEI, points, whatever, you can get right to the centrifugal advance mechanism just by popping the rotor off. It's all right on top and easy to access. I think somebody's put a set of weights in it. Plug wire flavor of the day is some AC Delcos I picked up on Amazon because they were cheap on their Black Friday sales. I will tell you, they're very light, 7mm, but that's okay with points. If you're running anything a little hotter than that, I wouldn't want these. Our old plug wires were pretty shot, so hopefully this makes a difference. It's just cleaning the overspray off of these plugs, and I noticed these are R45S's, and I'm pretty sure this car is supposed to have an R43S for the high compression engine. In AC Delco language, 45 is hotter than a 43, meaning the tip is projected into the cylinder a little more. You could do that to crutch like an oil burning engine, but sometimes it can cause detonation, in a high compression engine like this. So, something to keep an eye on. Plug wires on. Let's get her up in the air. We'll drop the oil on it, and then I'd like to check out the brakes and stuff. Car's up in the air. I got distracted though and was trying to rig up a choke onto the thing. I just can't really make it work on this Quadrajet. I don't think it ever worked. Not right, anyway. I mean, this works, but there's one problem with the Quadrajet. If that choke is even slightly off, your secondaries won't open. I mean, it can't be off at all. And by off, I mean closed. I'm just going to wire it wide open and then try to find the right stuff. It's like, your choke kit comes with a little arm to put on the side of the carburetor, but we don't have that on a Quadrajet. There we go. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of sub-zero driving anyway. I can definitely wait on trying to figure that out. Extreme oil change time. Oh my god, it's tight. It's sludge. Oh, of course. The oil filter comes right off. Ace oil filter. That thing is an antique. To get us a new Wix filter on here. This funnel has a screen, and it's going to take the rest of my life for that to go down. The engine is buttoned up, and it's a Pontiac, so everything we did, it's pretty much good to go forever now. Now, are you ready to have your mind blown? Watch this. Now you can see the 8-lug design. It's pretty much all brake drum. Aluminum brake drum at that. At least the bearings feel really good. So the brakes do work in this thing, but they don't work very good. So we should at least put eyes on all four and kind of get a plan going. I don't think these tires are very old. What are we looking at? 2018. That ain't bad at all. I'll run those. It's probably a good thing someone's been here fairly recently. Otherwise, I have a feeling this aluminum brake drum might be kind of a pain. Ugh. Well, maybe not that recently. Pretty sure the brake itself is the same as its 5-lug counterpart, but it is covered in aluminum, finned aluminum at that, which of course dissipates heat much better than iron. It was a Pontiac only thing. Kelsey Hayes made the drum. I think they originally made it for Cadillac, and Cadillac passed on it, so Pontiac got it instead. Buick had a very similar aluminum drum, but they were just standard issue 5-lug stuff with a separate hub, whereas this one is, I believe, integral. Pontiac center cap makes a handy little bolt tray. The wheel cylinder's definitely been leaking. See, all the brake dust is kind of stuck to everything. It's at least weeping a little. The shoes could be reused if we would like to. And the drum itself is in very good shape. So let's get our inner wheel bearing out and the wheel seal out. We'll start a nut on the spindle. Then we'll put the drum on over that nut. Pull a couple times. There you go. Say they're original bearings and they're in good shape. Super Clean does a good job of cleaning bearings while you're doing other things. You know, I just fill a little paint cup and then I just let all this stuff soak and come back in about an hour. And then you just pretty much blast them out with brake clean real quick and they're brand new again. It's about a 0% chance that any of these brake lines come free, but just in case, I'll hit them with a wire wheel and then soak them. I think we got to this one in the nick of time. Ugh, it's pretty stuck, but come on. These brake drums are worth more than my life. Mostly because I don't have any life insurance, but they are very expensive. There. Whew. We should probably change our hoses and everything too, just to be safe. And you guys know me, I'm kind of all about safety. We needed some persuasion for this one. Well, we might be able to save this brake line. The car is... The hose came out. This is what explodes out of there, is all the cords in the end of the brake line. Those are the reinforcements that run through it. Those get hot and it goes poof. Got our new wheel cylinder in. It's gonna hook this brake hose up. Then we'll be good to start reassembly of this brake. I do far too many drum brakes on this channel, so not diving into it real deep here. Just one thing to remember, big on back. Big brake shoe is your primary brake shoe. It goes on the back. Very common mistake. You won't really notice anything. Your shoes will wear out prematurely if you don't install it correctly. Tell you what, these are some crazy strong springs. Whew. This will only hurt a little. Let's pack some bearings. Reach into our now pure black cup of Super Clean here. Hose it out with the brake clean. Pack them up. I just, you know, do it in my palm or whatever. We got a lot of stuff to do. All right, I'm going to knock this out, get these front brakes adjusted-ish, and then we got to pull the rear drums off. And those are kind of interesting. It'd be good to show you that. Now the back is very simple. This drum just bolts right to the axle and converts it to an 8-lug. That's it. So you remove the standard 5-on-5 pattern drum. Oh boy, it is stuck. That's not good. I'm going to soak all the wheel studs because there's something going on here. It's called dissimilar metal corrosion. We have an aluminum drum. We have a steel axle flange. When those two meet and get moisture in between them, they practically weld themselves together. What we can't do is take a giant mallet to this because it is unobtainable. We're going to need some prayer on this one. And it sure doesn't seem like we're going to have a lot of luck with this. You know, if this was a Chevy axle, I could pull the cover, pull the C-clips, and pull the axle. But it is a BOP axle, which is bolt-in axles, which means the axles are retained behind this. I'm willing to hit it with a dead blow. I'm going to try to get behind here and run the brake shoes in with the brake adjuster using a brake adjuster tool. This is the fun part of old cars right here. Freezing your ass off. Working on really rusty, oddball, very expensive things. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it. Ah, it's stuck. Shit. I don't think it's hung on the brake shoes because this thing is moving pretty nicely. And I can see it moving. You know, it tries, but it's stuck in the middle. So, I've got an idea. I don't know how good of an idea it is, but I've got the spare wheel and tire here. The car came with a few. So what if I bolt this onto there, and then since I can't beat on the drum, I could beat on this wheel. Yeah, it's going. It's off the axle flange. It's just stuck on the shoes now. Holy shoot. I did it! God damn, I'm a genius sometimes. Nobody's been in that brake since this car was new, I bet. We caught this one just in time. It's not down to the rivets. It's close though. And thankfully the drum itself is actually in really good shape. There's no ridge. It was stuck both ways. It was stuck on the hub. See that like white powdery corrosion that's still on there? The drum is good! Yay. Ow. Before I turned in for the night, I figured I'd just try to get the brake lines broke free. Boy, I saved every one of them, except for this axle line to the T. That's alright, I can make that one. They actually look like they're in really good shape. They're hardly rusty at all. It's just this one in particular is a little frozen on the nut. Back out the next day, making a brake line. If you're seeing this video a little later than normal, it's because I pinched a nerve in my neck a couple days ago, and it was getting a lot better. And then somebody decided to take a sledgehammer to the rear drums on the car last night, and all of a sudden, it's back, and it's worse than ever. So I have 3 lidocaine patches glued to my neck right now, and I'm trying. So I'm going to try to get the rear brakes done today. And this is my SURR flare tool. It's a hydraulic flare tool. They're about 300 bucks. Probably the best $300 I've ever spent. Quickest, easiest way to make flares ever. I recommend you just go look up a how-to video on it and you'll be sold like I was. I turned this brake line into vice grip size last night. You guys didn't see that. You're not seeing it now either. Obviously, this never happened. It took me over an hour to put this brake together. The new springs were too stiff. When I started trying to pull them on, I thought my head was going to fall off, so I just put the old springs back in. They're a little easier going. I'm going to do one thing that I obviously wouldn't normally do. I'm going to put a little anti-seize or engine assembly lube around this flange and on the axle flange itself. Help the next guy out, just in case it happens to be me. I do this on anything with a timing cover that has steel bolts that pass through. It always helps with that, so I figure this is about the same. After spending the last few hours wallowing in self-pity, I'm going to try to at least get 1 or 2 of these brake drums cleaned up and painted. I figured it'd be easier to clean them on the car, but I don't know. Maybe I did that backwards. Yeah, that's about as far as I'm willing to go. Definitely clean enough to spray can black. I like the Rust-Oleum 2X spray paint. It's probably the best spray paint you can get. You know, online you hear people bitch all the time that you can't buy these things new, and I don't get it. You know, you can make your own brand new ones at home just like this. Got Jess out here to run the brake pedal. We're going to bleed our new brakes and hope they work. I haven't got to the floors yet. You'll have to make do.
That's okay.
Alright, pump them up. And I am using the master cylinder that was on the car because it looked new, but we'll see if that was a good idea. Oh yeah, lots of fluid. Ew.
That sounded like a good one.
A mission for you.
Yes.
Paint those.
Okay. I can do that.
I paint the letters because that takes patience.
Yeah, I can do that. Finally use the pinstriping kit you gave me, what, over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Now, one last thing to do here before we can officially call the brakes done, and that's clean these fins off to expose the raw aluminum. Piece of 180 grit sandpaper. And then, of course, there's going to be leftover in the pits of the aluminum because they're not perfect and they never were. So I'll just take a wire wheel. So I just have to repeat that about 300 times and then we'll be done. Well, I got lazy. Time to get the DA out. Gotta be a little bit more careful with this, but it goes much faster. Alright, everybody lay odds whether the shocks just come right out. No. It's always worth a try, but the way you can get that top nut off of there a little bit easier is just get you a long extension or a few extensions, and then just put it on the nut, bend it back and forth, and you'll snap the top of the shock off. Boom. It does occasionally eat a Harbor Freight socket. Nope. Hey, it puked it out. Please just remove yourself. Oh, what? What? Wow, this is a shock and a half. What? Ugh. Got an overload spring on it. On the front. It had to have gone in through there. Surely it'll come out. I had to pull the little clips out that hold the shock in. There's no way this even did anything. This side broke one of the clips. Only one of them though, which is kind of impressive. I got a fish wrench down inside of the spring pocket here. Tried to get a hold of it because there is a 1/2-inch nut stuck to that clip. Got it. Dude, there's like entire ecosystems living inside of these control arms. I am destroying the environment as we speak. Think of all the new species that are living in here. And for shocks this time, I've got a set of Monroe OE Spectrum. Why? Because they're cheap. And also, they're always made in USA, or at least in my experience. For an over-the-counter, budget shock, that's a good one. Pretty well cleared out the ecosystem in here. Gonna have to give this thing a good wash. Normally I'd pressure wash it, but it's very cold out right now. Thankfully one of you guys sent in some of the clips that go in the control arm, so I'm just going to use one of them to fix that one that broke. It'll be in good shape up front. I appreciate it. Thank you. And we, of course, have load assist shocks on the back, too. Hopefully they come off. Huh? They're not gonna. So these aren't too bad to get to. They're a bolt and nut, and you can get to the nut pretty easily up here. Oh, and while I'm back here, see that? That is the limited slip diff only tag. You gotta put the crunchy gear oil on this one. Always remember to support the axle while you're doing this so that you do not get decapitated immediately. One. I don't think I can get to the other top one until I loosen the bottom and I can move the shock around a little. Also, dig this. See that? That looks like a muffler hanger to me. It's like someone hung an exhaust tip off of the axle, which would be a true mark of a genius. I use chrome sockets on my impact because I'm kind of a bad boy. Haha! Get the bottom of this bolted on. Be free! Should just kind of extend and meet the frame of the car, and there we go. I think we just took about 10 pounds of sprung weight off the car. Shock is a lot longer than the one that was on it. This side of the rear end's hanging down about an inch. Rear shocks are on, front shocks are on. I'm calling it good. Obviously all the bushings and stuff probably need addressed, but not right now. I'm sure they're okay for a while. We pretty much got to drive it to feel out what it really needs. Obviously what it really needs is floors. Well, we're gonna have to start there by pulling the gas tank out of the car, and I want to start in the trunk because I haven't shown you a whole lot of it, but shit, it really ain't no better than the lack of floorage up here. That's pretty cool. This showed up today. It's the window sticker reprint for the car from the PHS report. This is worth having. The rest of the report is pretty much useless. It's pretty cool though. I'm gonna try really, really hard to save these fuel tank straps just in case we need them. Got it. Alright, that's one save. They're unbolting, but the damn carriage bolt is, the square on the bottom of the carriage bolt is rounding off. I really don't like cutting when I can't see what I'm doing. I did it! And I saved the strap. Ugh. My God, what a gas tank. Also, it's got fuel in it. It's heavy. Glad I wasn't under it when it fell. I'm not seeing anything on here that tells me it's not repairable unless it's rotten under this. It is. I think it's got holes in it, but you can't get them, so I better keep that. We got a place in Kansas City that can fix it, but it's going to take them a while. This trunk floor is pretty AFU, although the middle of it's not too bad. Get everything ripped out of here, shop vac it. What we're going to try to do is half-ass it. Because, look, I'm just not the most skilled metalworking guy in the world. Good body, man, not a welder. To help out, they do just happen to make a complete made in USA trunk floor for this car, as well as individual floor pan patches, which are probably going to be a little lacking, but hey, I bought what I could. You cannot put a one-piece trunk floor in this car without the body off the frame. They come in 3 pieces so that you could stitch them together in here, and it's the trunk. Nobody really cares what it looks like, right? 2+2 emblem, some trim, door edge guards, part of the bumper jack. You know, I guess that's about anything of value in here. Cleaned out, I can already see a few differences. There's some lumps and such in this pan that are not on the new sheet metal. But that's okay. I mean, fact is, you buy any kind of aftermarket sheet metal, and if you expect it to actually fit, you're kidding yourself. There's 2 supports in here that hold the gas tank in. As far as I can tell, those are solid. And then the body mounts too. The tops of them are rotted off, but the body mount itself is not rotten at all. Now, what we're not going to do is just start cutting willy-nilly. We need a plan. So I'm going to go get our sheet metal and set it in here and just see where it feels like it's going to go. Right, so it's only about a foot too long. I just realized it says Pontiac Bonneville. Well, that's okay. We can always cut off some. At least like the ribs and everything in it match. They're pretty good. I've made some sort of error. They'll work for sure. This all matches. It's just way too long. I believe you put the sides in first and then you put the middle piece in. Well, I measured it using God's tape measure, my eyeballs. As long as I just cut off the back edge of it, everything should fit just fine. I'm going to leave about half of the drain plugs in the front there so I have something to line up the new metal with. Get the rust out of here, at least it can't get worse. If someone wants to come in here and do it better later, they'll be able to. You can see I'm just cutting around the edges. I'm gonna leave this lip for the trunk drop. Obviously I'm gonna leave the brace in here. We'll have to peel the sheet metal off the top of it. I'm going to leave this back edge in because it's in good shape. Same thing around the body mount, the wheelhouse. I'm just leaving an inch or 2 around it so I have something to weld to, screw to, whatever I want to do. Oh boy, I've probably done smarter things. There we go. We got to get the rest of this sheet metal off. Not all of it. I mean, not necessarily. I think the ribs line up on the new metal. I hope the ribs line up on the new metal. I'm pretty sure they do. I know the sides do. I left half of the drain plug holes in there. We can line that up with the drain plug hole on that. Then we'll take what we want off of that. So basically we'll put that in position, and then we'll cut the too long part of it off back here, and we're just gonna stitch it right to this. I mean, is it perfect? No, but it's a hell of a lot better, right? We're gonna grind away and look for the spot weld, and it should present itself. You see this divot right here? Probably not. Take my word for it. There's a spot weld right in the middle of that. That pulled off, drilled out the spot welds, and they just peeled right off. That's as far as I'm going. So everything else, we're just gonna set right on top of it. That's good enough. You know, we could at least get in here and completely rebuild these braces here. You know, make them brand new. So I'm gonna just lop off, about 5 inches. And then we're gonna go stick it in and see what it looks like. I'm gonna use the nibbler to do it. Well, that doesn't fit too bad on that radius there, but the drain plug is in a different spot. So I kind of screwed up. I should have cut it off of this radius and then moved this whole piece forward. Now, it's off not that much, maybe 3 or 4 inches. A little bit of adjusting. I got it pretty close. I mean, I think as close as it's gonna get. It's everybody's favorite moment. Self-tapping madness. So I like to hold it in place right here because it is where I want it. We use screws that we can then pull out and weld up the holes if we get real fancy. It's not that bad. I mean, obviously we got to tuck down the edges a little bit and pretty much just going to seam weld it in. At least underneath, it's not going to be like obvious that it's been hack jobbed, you know. Not once we put a coat of bed liner on it. Like, that looks pretty good. We'll just ignore all the rest of this stuff I keep cutting myself on. I'm making headway back here. Jess has finished these, which are perfect. Those are amazing.
Here, you do it. You have the dad hand. There you go. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I am extremely happy with the way this is shaping up. I'm going to go ahead and weld in the outside pieces. This way I can kind of get under the seam and get them tied in to these braces so it's good and strong. And then I also have to get under the car. You can see I shot one screw up through that body mount. I have to get under there and burn them. I could drill holes in it and plug weld it, but I'll just weld around the outside of it. It'd be easier. This is going to be excellent. I'm very, very pleased. Flux core, don't do me wrong. Unfortunately, free labor has arrived.
I'm here.
You're here.
And I'm ready.
What's your channel?
Fellowship in Cars.
So this is Garfield, Fellowship in Cars. We worked out a deal on that 4x4 van. You're going to see that eventually.
It's a shitty deal.
Yeah, for both of us. But anyway, hey, you got a strong back.
We're about to find out. How strong is your insurance policy?
I don't have one.
Fair enough. All
Excellent.
right.
Let's get her cleaned out and see what floors we have to work with, because I haven't even really looked.
Okay. All right.
I don't think there's much in there.
I'm going to jump to it.
All right, I'm going to weld.
I thought the Jeep was rusty.
No, this is rust-free from Missouri.
You serious?
No, this is pretty bad. Oh my God.
You didn't see that. Dude, I see a car like this in Georgia and I don't even look at it.
I don't blame you.
You want my job to mess up the over. Damn.
Damn, it sparked.
Battery hooked up.
There you go. These guys here, looks like spot weld, right? Well, no. I just back out the self-tappers I shot in, and then burn it. There you go. That's a nice plug weld there. Ain't going anywhere. Well, our sides are all welded in. You can see where I kind of plug welded around the body mounts in here. That worked out good. It's solid. I mean, it's ugly, but that's okay. We'll just cover it all up. Obviously, we're not going to use all of that because it's quite a bit different. We're just going to overlap that front half there up to that little bump in the floor for the spare tire. Something like that would be just fine. I'm going to reuse my self-tappers I just used because I'm cheap. I mean, I'm eco-friendly. Now that we have this securely fastened with the Lord's fastener, we can go ahead and start welding. I'm just going to buzz the sides a bit, then I'm going to pull all those screws out, plug weld into the braces, and dude, we're going to be in good shape. This is going to look great. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, it ain't perfect. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but damn, the corpse capacity has been restored. Let's seam seal it, but first we need to spray some paint around the seams so we're not putting it over bare steel. Seam sealer is like $40 a tube, and that's not going to happen because we would need at least 4 or 5 tubes to do this whole car. So I have a genius trick to get around that. The one important part of the genius trick is that you better put something down over the bare steel. Look at that. That's nice. Dare I say it even looks correct-ish. Other than like that spot right there. But the gas tank will cover that right up. Floors of this car are about as bad as I've ever seen. And that's saying quite a bit. I mean, this whole inside of this thing it's pretty destroyed. What it really needs is a full floor pan section. But they don't make one for this car. The only thing they make is these. I don't remember the company I bought these from, but they're the only ones that produce this. There's not enough of them to patch everything. I mean, obviously, I'm missing quite a bit. Step one here is just going to be cut out everything. Still got to get the back part of the back seat out of it. There are some holes back there too. I mean, it's under the seat. It's everywhere. Everywhere. It's just gone. I did notice one cool thing though. This tunnel here has little rivets welded to it and tons of holes on it. And it looks like, to me, that is a shotgun rack. There's a bunch of holes here. It'd be a radio mount. Now, I don't know if this thing was ordered for a cop car or something, but It was used as some sort of security or police car. It even has a hole filled on the quarter panel for a whip antenna. That paint has taken a while to dry in the trunk because it is a balmy 20 degrees right now. We can at least get a start on this. Better than nothing is about all I can give those pans. They don't even fit. They're not formed. Hardly at all. I was hoping for a little bit more, but at least it gives us something to go off of. Kind of feeling like a tomorrow problem, though. How's this looking? Oh, she's dry. Let's get our seam sealer on. Our secret weapon for seam sealer on the cheap is liquid nails. Always get the cheap liquid nails, not the fancy stuff. See, the cheap stuff remains flexible, and that's what you want in your seam sealer. You don't want it to crack, right? Well, this is not that much different than mastic. That's what they used from the factory back then. Nowadays you use like urethane type seam sealers, but back then they didn't use that. It works good, and I could seam seal the whole car for like $12. Just don't go crazy, you know, just nice little bead around the edges. That's all you gotta do. If you do get messy, just take you a putty spreader and just kind of wipe it around in there, and it'll work just fine, really. Now, we're not done with this yet, but we let that cure up, and then we're going to bed line it top and bottom. That baby's good for a long, long time. I'm not quite mentally prepared enough to tackle the inside of the car yet, so I'm going to bed line this. There. Dump some out there, and yeah, start smearing it around. And that's going to cover up all of our sins, which really aren't sins. It's pretty good, but it's going to make it look better. Hey, there we go. I know it's probably tough to see, but it looks great. Likewise, under here, this baby's going to be good to go forever. That's awesome. All right, on to the part I've been really dreading. You know, so the back pans actually fit a little bit better than the front, so I'm gonna start with the easy stuff. This is not gonna go well. If you are like sensitive to butchery, I don't know if this is what you want to see, but like what we did in the trunk is pretty good work, and I'm proud of it, but what we're about to do here, I'm not going to be very proud of it. Commence the tappage. Whoa, that's a big brown recluse. Not anymore, you ain't. You got to use the self-tappers to your advantage. Use them to massage the metal gently into shape with violence. Look at that beauty. Oh my goodness. There might be some license plates involved here. Stay tuned. I don't know how to break this to you, but this car is in really bad shape. I can't weld to anything. I can't weld to the car. There's no floors left. I mean, I'd have to go all the way out to the rocker, and I'd have to go a foot up the firewall. It just ain't gonna happen. I got it screwed in, and I am welding up the under the seat here and attaching that back to the seat so we can get everything tied into the floor braces. That leaves us with a couple options. We give up, we'll cry about it, or we just keep on doing it and we just screw the freaking things in here and call it good enough for now, and you know, maybe revisit it later, but at least it puts the car back on the road for now. I can't help myself. I'm addicted to self-tappers. I'll admit it. Or the butchery that you subscribed for, it's back. It's back with a vengeance. I am so ashamed of myself. That transmission tunnel is so bad I can't even screw to it. And I'm talking on the top of it. We are never to speak about this ever again. We're going to be proud of the trunk floor. Be like, wow, that's pretty nice. And then the floors, I didn't do them. I didn't touch them. Must have been the guy before me. Look at the pinhole rust. I don't ever see rust up here. Look at that. Oh my god, I gotta quit. I gotta quit. This car is so freaking nice. What happened? What happened to it? On the plus side, it's only taken me like 45 minutes to do this. It is faster. I'm just gonna slip under there and hide our sins. I'm gonna cut all the tails of the screws off so it's not like super duper obvious. You know, I think what we do here is we just let it rust. We let that new metal just kind of blend in. And then you get the most valuable thing one can ever have. Plausible deniability. We may have to find a back seat. This is pretty bad. Oh, shit. Dude, I could throw 3 dogs through this floor back here. Why did I leave the holes in the floor to do this? I could cut it out, but there won't be anything left. And this side's a little bit better. And there's a cockroach. Great. That's cool. This car was hiding a lot. And you know, it's still, I paid $3,000 for it. That engine is worth 3, at least, probably 4 or 5, honestly. I'm not exaggerating. So I stole the car. And because of that, I didn't really look very close at it. I just thought it was floors. Honestly, I'm not faking it. I didn't know it was this bad. I suppose we may as well seam seal it and plug up as many of the pinholes as we can, because even if I found a floor pan tomorrow, it's going to be a while before I can actually fix it. And again, what's better? Is it better we sit around and wait for it, or do we put the car back on the road and enjoy it in the meantime? There we go. Bedline the floors, that way I don't have to look at them. Then we'll put some sound deadener stuff down tomorrow, and carpet should be here the day after that, so we'll probably work on some other things as well. Better bedline this rust, you know. We wouldn't want it to rot out or anything. That's all done. And you know what? Looks pretty good now. If I just had a few less morals, I could have cleverly edited in some welding footage, some nibbler footage, some hammer footage, and then boom, look. Yeah, brand new floors. I'm kind of a pro. Nobody would ever do that. Right? It's time to cover this up and then forget about it forever. The way we're going to do that is with generic Amazon sound deadening material, which is the same thing as Dynamat. It'll hold a whole car together. Ask me how I know. This is good enough. We'll just have to remember, don't buckle anybody into the driver's side back seat. You know, you really can't tell. What license plates? And it is solid. It is, and you know, honest to God, it doesn't even look that bad underneath. I don't know, it's not that bad. I can live with it. I gotta clean this place up, and then let's get a gas tank in it, and maybe try to get some exhaust on it. Here's our new gas tank. It's for a 68 Impala, and it is completely different than the one that came in this car. The one that came in the car is actually a little skinnier and longer, but maybe we can make it work. Another difference, no return line on the sender. So we'll use this vent as a return, and then we'll just have to drill a hole in the gas cap or something. I don't know why, but this tank is like covered in grease, like axle grease. The Impala tank came with straps, but they didn't fit the floor pan of the car, which makes sense because the Impala uses a different floor pan than the Catalina. So I reinstalled the original tank straps. Okay, my shoulder's not 100%. I think it'll work. It'll be a little bit sketchy because the tank is about 6 inches shorter. But if we can get these straps to tighten up enough, I think it'll be okay. Might try to scoot it up just a little bit, but I'll just grab this. I mean, that's fine. I can get gas in that. It's in there. Well, we need a vent for the tank. I could take the vent out of the old tank and solder it in, or I could just drill a hole in the gas cap and that'll do the same thing. Boom. We have a fuel tank vent now. Amazing. Do you know where the factory tank vented? Inside of the trunk. Well, now we're venting it outside of the car, so it's better, right? Make sure these lines are clear. Oh God, it just sprayed gas everywhere. Well, not turning the heater on for a minute. I guess it works. What about the return? Oh. Yep. Oh, it sprayed gas everywhere too. That's great. That fuel pump was working. That's terrifying. Let me get these hooked up. We'll hook them up at the fuel pump. So I was just hooking up the fuel lines under here, and to be honest with you, I really hadn't looked too closely at the engine. We can see the whole engine has been painted that incorrect shade of blue. It looks like Ford blue. And tough for you to see, but I spy newer looking freeze plugs up in there. I'm thinking this thing might have been gone through. It's awfully clean. I mean, it's, you know, a little bit of oil on it, but leaky drain plug. Missing the inspection cover. It was done a long time ago if it was done, but I think this 428's probably been freshened up. Anyway, on to our next disaster, which will be the long branch exhaust manifolds and the lack of exhaust. At least there's not a porcupine underneath the thing to stab me. That's a plus. I guess I ought to get these flanges off first, and I think I might actually have a pair of these flanges around. Naturally, I broke the bolt off on that one. I'm gonna drill it out. That's what they did on this other side. Thankfully, these flanges are pretty easy to get to, so I'll drill that out. That won't be no big deal at all. Oh my gosh. I have these down pipes left over from a pipes kit, I think. The problem is I think they're too small. This is the old flange, which clearly not great. There may not be anything I can do right now. I'll probably have to take it to my exhaust guy. That's not going to work. I just learned a valuable lesson. These cars came with factory 2.5-inch exhaust all the way back. I mean, I could run up to my muffler shop and have them make some lead pipes, but if I'm going to do that, I'll just have them do the exhaust, and it won't be cobbled together garbage like I could do. So anyway, we're going to sand and paint the wheels, quote unquote, get them on it, and get this thing back on the ground. And make sure you rebuild the spare tire too.
Okay.
You can rebuild the tire also, and the wheel.
Makes it brand new again, right?
It does. And hey, when you're done with the rebuilding the wheels, we should probably go ahead and rebuild the whole frame too.
Okay.
And the inner wheel houses, and you know, I mean, since we got the stuff out, I did get a significant discount on the stuff at, you know, the self-checkout. I mean, I would never do that. Yeah. First, all the floor problems disappeared, and now all these problems are disappearing. It's a miracle. Somebody call the Pope.
It's new, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's what the tire shop does with used tires. So it must be the right way to do it. So this came in the mail, as well as lug nuts. This is a hysterical waste of money. See this AC oil fill cap? It's just kind of crummy looking, you know.
What did you get?
So I got a new one. Oh, very nice.
Yes. Much better.
How much do you think this was?
Like 50?
$54.95.
All right. But it's shiny.
Boy, isn't it? Now, I don't have my chrome valve covers yet, but at least I got that, by golly. We gotta wait for those wheels to dry. So I'm gonna go on the hunt for some beauty rings. I might have some around here. And then also we gotta clean up the interior and stuff. Figured we could do that. I found this in the pile of stuff that came out of it. 2 Slim Jims. And these are, you know, like using a coat hanger, but these are like fancy. It's even got the plastic wedge to shove in the window. You can steal like cars all day long with this stuff, man. These will come in handy for sure. Shit, these are not cheap. Sanitize. It's super clean. We got to make sure the car is deserving of new upholstery first. So we'll be reinstalling this. Because upholstery for this car is very, very expensive. This car was rusty. Well, it is rusty. But it wasn't really nasty. I mean, it looks really good. There wasn't a lot of poop. Then again, there wasn't really anywhere for them to poop. Because everything was gone. Well, I have a whole pile of beauty rings here. And absolutely none of them are the right ones. I put one on. I mean, I put a regular 14-inch beauty ring on. And as you can see, that's not right. It's supposed to go all the way down in, like this one. Except for these are trashed and they look dumb. So I'm going to have to order some. Fortunately, I'm sure they're only several $1,000s. Well, the window's clear. That window's clear. Back window, not so much. There's a lot of
yeah,
that.
there's another one.
Mm-hmm. And 4 others as well. But I don't know what they look. Well, 6 others actually. I'm gonna put taillights in it. It came with a pair of taillights. Looks like someone shot them out with their Red Ryder, so I'll just zip them out real quick, throw the new ones in. You know, to the casual observer, you may think that this entire thing is rotted out, but to me, I call it patina. Well, everything's about as good as it's gonna get, except for the floor mats. Jess and I will go run those up to the car wash and blast them. It's too cold for my pressure washer. I cleaned up the tires. Let's get them on with our new lug nuts from lugnutguys.com. I got a whole sack of new nuts from lugnutguys.com. And you can get new nuts at lugnutguys.com as well. Yeah. We're just about ready to put it on the ground. I'm just going to shove the back half of the back seat in for now. A lot lower. I see why they had the overload springs in the back. It actually needs air shocks or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the springs are shot. I kind of like it low. It's just a little bit too nose up, you know. Jesus. What the hell is that?
The water could be freezing inside there.
Oh, well, better their hose than mine. Ugh. Hey, you know how much those things are? They're like $300 for 4, but those two are in really good shape. So it's worth the frostbite. Yeah.
I definitely don't want that one on the loose right now. Oh, God.
Just got my carpet kit for this Pontiac. I like auto custom carpets, made in USA. Good stuff. I went with the mass backing on this one. See this like rubberized coating they put on the back of the carpet? I don't know. Makes it weigh a lot more, but it's only $60 extra, and I was curious to see how well it actually works. Also, I found some door latches on eBay, and this door latch is broken, so we'll try to fix that too. Boy, that mass backing adds a lot of mass. Get it? These are pre-molded-ish to fit the correct floor pan. Probably not the floor pans I have conceived. Pretty good. It fit the molded portions, or I must not be that far off. I'm gonna take a razor blade, I'm gonna cut an X over every bolt and stud, poke it through the carpet, get everything set down, and then trim the edges to fit. There's really nothing else to it. Now, let me get to work here. I like the mass backing. It seems to help the carpet lay into its form better. However, there's a couple of drawbacks. As I'm trying to cut the studs out for the seats and stuff, that extra 1/8 inch that it has makes that stud almost non-existent once you poke it through the carpet. We may have some trouble with that when we go to put the seats in the car. It would probably make less of a difference if I didn't already have the sound ender attached to the floor. So take that into consideration as well. You're out here helping again. Mm-hmm. Finally.
Had school.
We gotta change out the door latch in this door. So good luck with that. These are interesting. Need a big Phillips screwdriver. They actually make an impact screwdriver to remove these. I don't have one, so we'll figure something out. It's basically an impact screwdriver.
Mm-hmm. Push.
There. Mm-hmm. I got one seat in. We've got a door latch in. And it even works.
Works really good.
Heck yeah. That was a good eBay score. We got one extra too. It's amazing what just a little elbow grease and $200 carpet kit can do for your car. Yeah, the interior is still pretty ragged, but it's livable. This will do for now, for sure. One last thing tonight, I want to make sure it still runs. We got to get the new gas tank primed.
No power?
No.
New battery.
Not the battery. We didn't have any power. And you notice this whole wire loom's been opened up for some reason. Look at that. This wire is broken right here. This is your main cabin power. I kind of shoved it in there. I think we tape it up real good here. What we should do is de-pin it and fix it. So I'm not going to do that. We'll just tape it up and try to hold it still.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it cranks real quick.
Yeah.
It runs. Now you're going to tape that up. And if that spotlight goes out, then we know you messed up. You know what sucks? I ordered those chrome valve covers like over a week ago. And I ordered a new chrome lid too. A reproduction one. Oh, you killed it. No. Ugh. You don't have the touch. I may have to do this one.
I got it.
Don't make me have to fix this.
I
don't want to fix this. I'll order a wiring harness for it. That's what the car needs very, very badly.
Yeah.
It is so bad. You have to simulate road conditions when you're doing this, JD. Come on.
I just did, and I barely tapped it.
Dude.
And it,
Then it's not going to work. Simulate road conditions. Just slight vibration on the whole harness. Up, flickering. All right, I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We could heat the shop with this light. Here,
Probably cook
you
an
need
egg
some
on the
heat?
light. Yeah.
There you go.
Jeez.
It's a halogen. That some bitch is hot. You can feel the heat, like,
I know, like
out
right here.
Well, we're gonna take her for a spin today. It is frigidly cold out, but we got to know how good it is and if it's worth putting the extra effort into, or if we should move her down the road. I'm gonna try to get it fired up. That carburetor's not very good, but maybe it'll clean up. I gotta burp it, gotta check transmission fluid. We never even ran it after we did all the work, so let it run a minute, and then we'll check. Alternator works. That's gross. Needs a flush. I don't think that valve cover's sealed. Just a guess. I gotta say, I've seen a lot of things, but I've never seen a river of oil run out of a valve cover before. That gasket must have got poked up underneath it, or there's a hole in it or something. Oh yeah. It was bolted around it. There we go. I should at least wipe that off real quick. I missed. That is amateur hour. Can't say I've ever done that before. This would be a great time to have my new valve covers that haven't shown up yet. Perfect. Love it. And see the dual rooster tails there of gravel. Oh, I hope it does similar things on pavement. I might just leave it alone. This might just be like a back road beater car. Since it's kind of rusty, I mean, it is a valuable car, but it's also my car. So I don't really care. I kind of like it. I mean, it'd be nice to have like an LTD that we don't have to worry about, right? Except for 3 times the horsepower. Let's go take her for a spin. Oh, the blower motor's working. We might have heat. I think the timing might be a little bit out, so I brought my tuning computer with me. I don't think the seat belts work. You do have one. I don't know if I would buckle up in it though. No, probably not. The brakes leave a little to be desired actually. I do think we need to bleed them a little better. Or it needs a master cylinder. All the gauges work. Holy shit. Oh my God. 75 miles an hour. Jesus. Holy sh**. Oh, the tires are so square. I might have to buy a set of those, but I still haven't got my adapter thing for that. Jesus. It's missing a little bit. I mean, the carburetor's not great, obviously. But, I mean, I'm happy with it. It was sitting forever. It's too fast for the brakes. It needs a master cylinder. I'm scared. What is that?
Isn't that trim right there?
Yeah, it drives pretty good overall. Let's go to town, get some gas, because this thing's probably not good on gas. And I'll rip that trim off. I was going to take it out on the highway and do a top speed run in it, but the brakes are either working absolutely as good as they ever did, or there's something wrong, and it's a little bit sketchy. This car has a lot of balls. There, I'll fix that real quick. Un momento. Oh my God. Shit. All right. I have more of this, don't worry. Did you notice that the window's gonna fall out of the car?
Yeah, the whole entire thing moved.
No, it's okay though. And you know why? It's because it's a Pontiac. I mean, that's just what they do. Steering wheel is very hard to grip for some reason. I don't get it.
Duct tape car?
This would kick ass at duct tape. This big ass car, and it's not even running right. I mean, it's not bad. It's just get it running a little bit better. I can't actually read what the gauges say. I just know they move. So it must be fine. It might be pinging. That part throttle misfire it's got going, that may be ping. Really high compression. This station sells 93 octane, the other one sells 91. Let's go get some 93. Well, what do we got here? Just a little out of the overflow. That's probably from earlier. Our valve cover leak is fixed. No oil blow by. I have been beating this thing like it owes me money. And man, no evidence of anything. God, it runs strong.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, you know, the fastest car I've ever had probably ran a high 12. And this car's not that fast, but it's in that ballpark. I mean, it's mid-13s. It's kind of frightening. It's real. This is a ton of mass to throw around, especially when there's no steering wheel grip. It's just metal. I definitely didn't almost put the car in a ditch off camera. That definitely didn't happen. Like,
or brakes.
Yeah, and the brakes are way, because you mat this thing at 50 miles an hour, you're doing 100 miles an hour, like that. I don't know, I mean, it probably doesn't do more than $120, but do you need to? Oh, yeah. Gas pedals come off the spikes.
Oh my gosh.
Oops. Well, if I don't have full throttle on the way home, that's why. Timing's a little bit off. It already likes that gas better. I don't know what that is. Blower motor? Speedo cable. Speedo cable is going nuts. I think its speedometer cable is eating itself as we speak. Yep, not the transmission, it's that. Doesn't change with engine RPM, it changes with speed. Alright, I'm gonna give it a rest. But this thing's good. Oh, you know what isn't good about it though? The non-power steering.
Oh no. Well, just mash it and it'll whip around.
It will.
itself.
It'll do a 180 actually. There's too much car here for poor brakes. I might upgrade to power brakes now that I'm not concerned with like keeping the car perfect. Power brakes might happen. Probably not though. That's, you know, too much work. I have to drill 2 holes. Well, I gotta tell you, I think this is my new favorite car. And I think it needs to go to duct tape drags next year. This thing sat in a field, rotting away. And we just bombed it around probably 15 miles or so. And it did great. It's totally fine. So I think it's earned more work. Is it going to get a full restoration? Maybe one day, but not anytime soon, you know? Maybe it's something I accumulate the metal for and then do it a couple years down the road while enjoying the car in the meantime, instead of tearing it into pieces and leaving it in your garage for 15 years because you need it to be perfect. I'm thinking butch white paint job and drive the shit out of it, or just leave it alone. It doesn't look that bad. Needs a set of tires, and that master cylinder gave up the ghost. It needs that real bad. No big deal though, we can work with all of that. That's all piddly stuff. That's why you have to get the car running. You have to drive it. You've got to do stuff with it before you start the work. If I would have taken this car up the road and the transmission would have launched, or the rear end was making noise, or God forbid there was something up inside the engine, I would have just flipped it, honestly. I just don't have the time to take on that kind of project. But since we took it down the road, mechanically this car is rock solid. It's ballsy as hell. I think it's well worth it. I got a guy out in New Jersey who can rebuild that carburetor to original spec and get that quadrajet dialed perfect. So I'm going to send that to him. I don't want to be putting a Edelbrock or anything on it. I want all the Pontiac stuff on this Pontiac. But anyway, this has been the 67 2+2 Pontiac with the 428 HO and all of its goodness. I'm still like antsy over it. I am not kidding you. I don't get scared driving cars. This car is scary, and it's, it is fast. Don't misunderstand me, but it's mostly scary because it's huge and floaty and like not the most nimble vehicle ever produced. Well, we'll see you guys next time on Pole Barn Garage. Please go to polebarnmerch.com and help support the channel. But when I'm doing this, it's kind of a labor of love a lot of times. I'm willing to put my money up and build the cars. It's not a big deal. It's what I've always done. The thing is when you do a car every week, it does get rather expensive. So go to polebarnmerch.com. You can get the Hawaiian shirts on pre-order right now. You can get some shirts and whatever, koozies, lunch boxes. We got it all at polebarnmerch.com. I love it. I love this car. I can't quit looking at it.